Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Erev Tov. Welcome, welcome. Friday evening services, Bethel Congregation in Baltimore. Welcoming those joining us here in the Berman Reuben tonight. Beautiful sunshine coming through the stained glass at the back of the room. Also welcoming those joining us online this evening. Kabbalat Shabbat services, calling pages from Sidur Chadash, and we'll begin on page 12 with Yedid Nefesh. Of the Kabbalat Shabbat service series of 6 psalms, the first of those, the 95th, on page 22.
Hello, Yadu.
24. The 97th Psalm is on page 26. Page 28 and 29, Zamru Ladonai Bechinor.
Zamru Ladonai Bechinor, Bechinor, Vekol Zimra. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor, Bechinor, Vekol Zimra. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor, זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, וכל זמרה. זמרו, זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, וכל זמרה. זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, וכל זמרה. זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, וכל זמרה. זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, וכל זמרה.
Romamu Adonai Eloheinu, page 30.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו.
Page 34, 29th Psalm.
Please, Lord, let Adonai nid barkadesh kol, Adonai kol elayalon, Maya chesod, Yehoron, Uveichalo, Omer kavod, Adonai lama bul yashav, Yishev Adonai melech leolam, Adonai oz le'amo yitei, Adonai yevarech tamo v'shalom. Ay, Adonai, Adonai, Ay, Adonai, Shabbat Shalom.
Those of you paying careful attention to the 29th Psalm, how many Adonais are in there? 18. 18. So it's Chai, Adonais. And the word kol, which means voice, God's voice, repeated how many times? A lot? 7, which is, of course, also a significant number in the tradition. So very intentionally constructed text. Kabbalat Shabbat, singing in anticipation of Shabbat, arriving at Shabbat, continuing in song. Just to remind folks, exits from the room, 2 exits on this side to my left, to your right, 2 exits on this side, and of course the exit at the back. Shabbat Shalom.
The sun is going down, it's shining through the trees. Another week's gone by, become a memory. So put away your hammer, there's nothing left to do. Come inside and find the gift that's waiting there for you. Oh, it's time to say good Shabbos, 'cause all your work is done. Gonna spend the day together with the Holy One. Make a special blessing on a cup that's filled with wine. Man and his creator, it's a very special sign. Your candles will be burning, filling your homes with light, singing songs of Shabbos far into the night. So put away your hammer, there's nothing left to do. When you're home, you'll find the gift that's waiting there for you. Oh, it's time to say, 'cause all your work is done. Gonna spend the day together with the Holy One. Make a special blessing on a cup that's filled with wine. Man and his creator, it's a very special sign. Good Shabbos.
Pause now to remember with reverence the art sites of our beloved departed observed until sundown this evening, 28th day of Nisan. Frank Barron, Sarah Brown, Jean Davidson, Anna Frank, Erwin Herman, Molly G. Myers, Gladys Oidick, William Potler, Irving Pritzker, Malcolm Manning Schlossberg, Mary Regina Schmidt, Mervyn Spritz, Milton Snyder, Ralph Weinberg, Mr. Walter Weinstein, and Harry Zerden. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May their righteous memories continue to bring blessing into all of our lives, together saying Amen.
Amen.
Solemn testimony to that unbroken chain of faith, which we believe links us one generation to the next, the door by door. Those who are in mourning, anyone else, if you are observing Yahrzeit, will you please rise? Mourner's Kaddish, page 124. Page 124. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach la'olam u'lalmei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudsha barichu. Leila minkol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'imrumav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
Amen. May be seated, and turning back in our prayer books to page 38, Lachadodi.
Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'l'tiferet v'l'tila. Echadoti likrat chala, b'nei Shabbat Shabbat lechuben elcha, ki mekol habracha, ki mekol habracha. Erosh mikedem nesuka, sof maseh b'achshavat tekilah, sof maseh b'machshavat gilah. Melech ir melucha, kumitzi mitoch hafecha, kumitzi mitoch hafecha. Rav lak shevet be'emek habaka, vehu yachamol alai kemla, vehu yachamol alai kemla. Likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabla. We turn to page 40 and rise and face the rear of the sanctuary to welcome the Shabbat bride. Shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha u'tzahak בשמחה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואו יקלה, בואו יקלה, בואו יקלה, בואו יקלה.
We'll remain standing, turning to page 50 for Baruch Hu. May be seated. On page 51, continuing with responsive reading. Jamie and Michael, yeah.
O Lord, your word brings on the evening twilight. The heavens proclaim your glory.
And we, your creatures on earth, behold in wonder your endless miracles.
Help us to recognize your guiding power in distinct galaxies and in our own souls.
Teach us your law of righteousness and love, so that your Spirit may govern our lives.
Source our peace, bless our worship. May our meditations find favor in your sight.
May our gratitude for your wonders lead us in love to your service.
So that, like the changing seasons, the days, the nights, our lives too will proclaim your glory. Amen.
ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, Amari Valavi Ahavat Olam et Yisrael Amavta Torah u'mitzvot Vokim u'mishpatim Otanu limadta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha, u'v'chol nafshecha, u'v'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ela, asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shiftecha b'veitecha, u'v'lachtecha v'derech, u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha. U'kshartam la'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot beinenecha. Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'visharecha. May be seated, continuing page 56, 57.
V'haya.
And on page 57, middle of the page, reading together. Therefore, keep these words of mine in your heart and in your soul. Bind them as a sign upon your arm, and let them be a reminder above your eyes. Teach them to your children, speaking of them when you are at home and when you are away, when you lie down at night and when you rise up in the morning. Write them upon the doorposts of your homes and upon your gates. Thus your days and the days of your children will be multiplied on the land, which the Lord promised to your ancestors, for as long as the heavens remain over the earth. Page 58, 59.
Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor daber. Adonai Elohechem emet.
On page 60, toward the middle of that page.
Umalkuto beratzon kibelu alehem Moshe ubnei Yisrael lekanu shira v'simcha rava v'amalu kulam Mikamo kaba elim Adonai, Mikamo kaneda bakodesh, Torah tehilot osefele, Torah tehilot osefele. Malekut kara uvaneka, okei ayam lifnei Moshe, Zelianu ve'amru, Zelianu ve'amaru. Chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
On page 63, continuing with responsive reading.
Help us, O God, to lie down in peace, but teach us that peace means more than quiet.
Remind us that if we are to be at peace at night, we must take heed how we live by day.
Grant us the peace that comes from honest dealing, so that no fear of discovery will haunt our sleep.
Rid us of resentments and hatreds which rob us of the peace we crave.
Liberate us from enslaving habits which disturb us and give us no rest.
May we inflict no pain, bring no shame, and seek no profit from another's loss.
May we so live that we can face the world with serenity and with grace.
May we feel no remorse at night for what we have done during the day.
May we lie down in peace tonight and awaken tomorrow from a richer and fuller life.
Ushamo etzetenu ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה, ועמד יברך קירותה וימליך מלכותה, ויקון ויום יקון ובקייל כל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמירה ונברק לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי קודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחתה ונקמתה דמירן בעלמה, ויאמרו amen.
Rising together, evening Amidah for Shabbos begins on page 69 and is recited quietly. Quiet prayer beginning page 69.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך ועל כל יושבי תבל. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך ועל כל יושבי תבל. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך ועל כל יושבי תבל. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
May be seated, continuing our service on page 80.
La 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 la. ויכולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, יבוא שבת מכל מלאכו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. La 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 la. יבוא שבת מכל מלאכו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, קונה שמיים וארץ. מגן אבות בדברו, מקיים מתים במאמרו. האל הקדוש שאין כמוהו, המניח לעמו ביום שבת קודשו. טבעם רצה להניח להם, טבעם רצה להניח להם, לפניו לעבוד ביראה ופחד, ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד, מעין המלאכות. השבת ומברך שבי ומניח לעמו המדושנה עונג זכר למעשה בראשית יתקדש שם ירבה יעמדי בדרכנותי וימליק מלכותי ויקייכונו וימכונו ויקייכו בישראל בגלה בזמן קריב וימרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם עולם ועלמיה יתברך ישתבח ויתברך ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהדר שמי לקודשה ונקבו לאל אמין כל ברכתה ושירתה ושבחתה ונקמתה תמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן תתקבל צלותון ובעתון לכל ישראל קדם ובהון בשמיים ויאמרו אמן יהי שלמה רבה משמיים וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן עושה שלום עמם הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו
Is a Felder, who tomorrow morning will celebrate her bat mitzvah, comes forward to lead the congregation in the Friday night Kiddush. Text of the Kiddush is on page 90. Ask if you please rise, and those joining us at home, please rise and take up a libation of your choice. Page 90.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafeh.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinhilanu zikaron lama'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehillah l'mikraye kodesh zeher litziat mitzrayim
Kivanu v'chata ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim
B'Shabbat kodeshecha Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
You may be seated. In a period of our calendar where we're counting the Omer, Sfirat HaOmer, they call it, or we call it, I guess. And let's just see if we can unpack a little bit of what that is. So first, it's helpful to remember that the current festivals that we celebrate, mostly thinking about a historical memory. So I'm talking about Pesach, which we just celebrated, Shavuot, which we'll celebrate soon, a few weeks, month or so, and Sukkot, celebrated in the fall. We think of those as historical memories. Passover is about Exodus to us. Shavuot is about what? Giving of the Torah. And Sukkot is about the wandering in the wilderness. Right? But originally, those festivals were agricultural in nature, and they were about the rhythm of the agricultural year in Eretz Yisrael, in the land of Israel. So that's helpful just in terms of context. And so the Omer counting was originally an agricultural ritual. It had to do with two different kinds of grain and the fact that the grains matured at different times. So barley matures more quickly than wheat, and the Omer was an actual measurement, was an amount of barley that was brought from the way we do it now, the second day of Passover, for how many days? 49 days, so 7 times 7, 7 being an important number in the tradition. And each day, another measurement of barley was brought. And then you get to the 49th day, which is going to be Shavuot. And you start bringing at that point not a barley offering, but an offering of wheat, because wheat matures later than barley. Now, if you are a beer or a whiskey drinker, you probably have a preference for barley. But if you like to eat bread, then wheat is your grain. And so it was important working your way towards that moment when you knew that the wheat would begin to mature. And the barley, in a sense, was bridging the gap between the winter months and the months of spring and summer when you hoped you would have a full harvest. That was sort of the original agricultural purpose of the ritual. Today, the ritual is understood more commonly in a symbolic way, in a metaphoric way, a couple of different ways. You'll see a note in the Siddur. We'll turn to the page in a moment because we'll stand together to count the Omer. One of the ideas is that by counting each day, it reminds you to make every day count, okay? You know, on the one hand, it's a trite message. It's been said 100 times. On the other hand, there's something to it. You know, it's true. Make every day count. Okay. But a second idea is the importance of bridging the gap of connecting Passover and Shavuot. And here's how that works. On Passover, we commemorate the moment when we became a free people. So Passover is about freedom. Shavuot is not about freedom. Shavuot is instead about responsibility, because it's on Shavuot that we receive the Torah. Torah brings responsibility into our lives. In a sense, it's not freedom, it's actually servitude to something greater, if you will. That's what Torah represents. And I think the link is important because it reminds us of the following, that the freedom of Passover is not meaningful unless it's placed into the context of the responsibility that Torah gives to us. If you have your freedom and you don't do anything with it, big deal, it's been wasted, right? At the same time, we know that if we don't have our freedom, we're not able to observe the laws and rituals and traditions of Judaism that Torah represents in the way that we would like. We need to have both the freedom of Passover, the responsibility of Shavuot, the sense of Exodus, and the sense of Torah to fully live our lives as Jews. And each night, rising together to count the Omer reminds us of that message and that we walk always ascending towards Torah. Shabbat Shalom, and if you'll please rise, counting of the Omer. You can follow the ritual, page 732. And as you know, many of you know, the tradition is that you don't say what day of the Omer you begin tonight. You begin counting. But I can tell you, of course, that last night we counted 13. So tonight you'll know where we are. And Cantor will lead us in the blessing first, and then he will announce the new day of the Omer.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat ha'omer hayom al ba'asar yom shehem shnei shvuot la'omer.
Tonight begins the 14th day of Sfirat HaOmer, of the counting of the Omer. If you'll please remain standing, and we'll turn back in our prayer books for Aleinu to page 118.
Aleinu leshabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כאויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגול עלינו ככל המונה. השמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתנו זו בגבי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אלוהינו, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ידעת היום, ידעת היום להשב אותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת עינו. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
And we'll pause now to remember with reverence the art sites of our beloved departed. Observe sundown this evening till sundown tomorrow evening, 29th day of Nisan. Morton of Barbanel, Lester Barr, Joseph Berman, Susan Lynn Bloom, Larry J. Braun, Julius Ehrensweig, Sarah Friedlander, Lily Greenberger, Herman Hammerman, Milton Hanauer, Irene Lax, Stanley Lapidus, Norman M. Arutsky, Mark J. Perlow, Jack Platnick, Morton Posner, Dr. Charles Samuel Rafke, Bluma Rosen, Rose L. Sachs, Frida Scher, and Milton Ziegler. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May their righteous memories continue to bring blessing into all of our lives, together saying Amen. Solemn testimony to that unbroken chain of faith, those who are in mourning, those observing yahrzeit, will you please rise? Mourner's Kaddish, page 124. Page 124, Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'b'yomechon u'b'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach la'olam olamei al-maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran bi'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav v'ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May be seated. Schedule of services for the remainder of the weekend. Tomorrow morning, Shacharit services beginning at 10 o'clock. Tomorrow evening, Mincha Marav Havdalah services at 7:45. Tomorrow evening is virtual only. Always a reminder, Torah study class meets at 9 on Shabbos morning, 9 to 9:45. That is also virtual. But the 10 o'clock service live here in the Berman Reuben and also broadcast via the Bethel Facebook page. Sunday services in the morning, 9:15, and in the evening, 5:30. Also, just a reminder, the 2022 Speaker Shabbat Series, Molding a Country, Israel's Prime Ministers. So following services tomorrow morning, Neil Rubin, Dr. Neil Rubin, at about 12:30 here in the Berman Reuben, will be discussing Yitzhak Rabin and Menachem Begin. Neil is terrific if you've never heard him, so that should be a terrific discussion. And we'll conclude singing together tonight on page 16, Shalom Aleichem.
Going along with the theme of Israel, this coming week we have both Yom HaAtzmaut and Yom HaZikaron. So we'll sing Shalom Aleichem to the tune of Am Yisrael Chai, the nation of Israel lives. Shalom Aleichem, Malkei Hasharet, Malkei Elyon, Vimelech Malkei, Malkei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, לשלום, מלכי השלום, מלכי עליון. ממלך מלכי, מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלכי השלום, מלכי עליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלכי השלום, מלכי עליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. הקדוש ברוך הוא. עם ישראל, שבת שלום.
Shabbat Shalom.